Hey everyone, it's your girl Shonda B. White. Thank you all so much for tuning in each and every vlog. I pray and I hope that each one is encouraging you or inspiring you or empowering you in some way, whether it's through your relationships, your marriages, or whatever the case may be. Speaking of marriages, I want to talk about marriage a little bit today because oftentimes when you're married, you start to feel a disconnect. So you say, what am I supposed to do, when I feel this way? Like, I feel like there's a disconnect, or I feel like we're clashing all the time, or, things are not going as I thought they would be, or, how are we going to make it through all of this? Like, how are we going to get through this season? And sometimes the seasons last longer than you think. So it's like, what do I do when I feel disconnected in my marriage? What am I supposed to do to get us back on track and to figure out what's going on? A lot of times when you're married, sometimes we feel as if like you're going through things and you think you're the only one until you talk to someone else. And then you're like, oh, y'all go through some of the same stuff we go through. And sometimes that helps relieve you because it just validates your pain and it validates your issues and it validates the fact that, you know what, no marriage is perfect. Like, we all go through different things, and some of us go through tougher and more difficult situations, and some of us go through things that are just the everyday nuances and just things that like may annoy you or whatever. But it's all about being able to come together and say, okay, I need help and I'm trying to figure out how to make this marriage thing work. Because when we're honest and when we go to that vulnerable place, that's when we can say, okay, I need help with my marriage, or I need help with something that I'm struggling with. Because oftentimes we keep secrets, and people act like their marriage is all perfect, and you ask them how they're doing, everything's wonderful, it's like perfect, like he's the best man. It's like, okay, I get it, like, and they say the same thing every single time. Well, I do believe that you should always stay positive about your marriage, and you shouldn't put all your business out on Front Street on social media. I also believe that there's a time and place to be honest and upfront and truthful about your marriage and say, you know what, we went through the same thing, but this is how we overcame it, or this is how we deal with that issue when it comes up. Because, we married folk have to stick together, plain and simple. The devil hates marriage. Please understand that. The devil hates it because he realizes that when two people come together, and marriage in itself is a representation of God's love for the church. And the last thing he wants to do is encourage love and encourage people to come to Christ. And the last thing he wants to do is for other people to see great, awesome, happy marriages working, because then other people are going to want to get married, and other people are going to want to start a family and make little baby Christians, or make families, or just have a loving household and a family, because he's all about discord. So he wants us to argue on the way to the church. He wants us to argue on Sundays, because he knows, okay, this is time when they get ready for church, they're about to head out, they're about to get their praise and worship on. He doesn't want us coming back home praying in one spirit and one mind, one body. Like, he wants the house to be divided. So you have to understand that when you're going through certain things, sometimes it's an attack, and the devil's just trying to like tempt you to see like if you're going to give in or if you're going to like fight. Because one thing's for certain, you have to fight harder for your marriage than you do each other. You cannot be fighting more against each other than you do with each other. You shouldn't be fighting more than you're praying. You shouldn't be fighting more than you're having fun. You shouldn't be fighting more than you're talking. You should be coming together trying to work on those things. Like, we all go through situations. We all go have those arguments. Eric and I, sometimes we have the most petty arguments, like petty. And so sometimes what we do, we just say, but did you die? And that's just a few words that kind of like puts things into perspective. So if he's driving a little crazy and I'm getting on his nerves because I feel like he's not driving safe enough, and then, in turn, he's, we're just like at each other's throats, we kind of like, we look at each other, but did you die? And it's kind of like, even though it's annoying at the moment, you're still just like, well, you're right. Like, I didn't die. I'm okay. Or, because he ate the last pizza or the leftovers. Like, but did you die? No, still have other food in the house to eat. I can still figure out something else. It's not that serious. So sometimes you just have to move on. But I do have a few tips that I think could work and have worked for my husband and I, because we've had seasons where it was like, whoo, this is tough. But we don't use the D word in our house. I'll let you figure out what the D word is. But rhymes with horse. But we knew, we're like, listen, we're in this. In the beginning, Eric used to like want to run away and like, take a breath, fresh air. But it's like, no, you can't run away when you're married. You have to like fight that thing through, and you have to like really come together to figure out, okay, we're not going to let the devil win. We're going to fight for our marriage. So what do you do when you start to feel disconnected? What have I done? One thing, number one, and they all start with R's just because I love alliteration. The first thing, you have to recommit to prayer and spiritual growth. How many of us can admit that sometimes when you're married, you get in the hustle and bustle, you're not praying like you used to, you're not praying as much as you need to be, you're not in that word, you're not even going to church as much, you might be streaming every Sunday now versus every now and then, come on somebody. But, you have to recommit to that and say, Lord, we recommit our marriage to you. We vow that we will spend more time with you. We will start the day praying with you, and we will end the day praying with you. I can tell when Eric and I haven't been in the word and like praying like we should, because the discourse in our marriage comes, and then there's like issues, and we're just arguing over the most stupidest stuff. And that's usually because we're not spending time with God. Because the more time we spend with him, the less time the devil has a chance to come in and creep in and try to mess up what we have. So recommit to prayer and spiritual growth. The second one is recharge your mind, body, and soul. Sometimes you just need a little refresher. You need to like recharge. And so for some couples, that's like doing a little getaway or a mini staycation. For other couples, especially if you have kids, that just simply means getting a babysitter and having someone take the kids so you guys can like spend some quality time with each other just to recharge. For some couples, it may be, listen, I need a little me time. I'm not talking about like weeks or days. I'm just saying like, I'm going to go to Target, also known as Target. I'm going to shop a little bit. He might go chill with his boys at their house, watch some little football. My husband actually right now is watching some playoffs, but that's totally fine, because sometimes you need that time. So sometimes you just need to recharge. You're like, okay, feel a little better, and you come back to each other. Or you recharge together. Go get a massage. Like relax, relate, release. Find a way to recharge, because sometimes it's just a matter of stress, whether it's individual stress or stress on each other, stress together. And sometimes you just need to recharge and do something that you guys can enjoy, or do something that's going to help you recharge. The next one is the third one. Remove the distractions. Listen, we all love some social media. We love to binge. Some people love to still play video games and stuff, but you have to remove those distractions. If you're putting your social media, your business, even your ministry before your household, and your household is suffering, you need to remove the distractions. You have to make time for what's important. Even for me, like I chose to do some of my videos now because I knew my husband wasn't home. Versus doing them here. But there are days when I'm up and writing really, really late, and I feel like I'm neglecting him. So sometimes what I'll do, like one night I promised him, I was like, babe, I'm going to get the dinner ready, all of this. I look up, it was like 12 o'clock. I had been writing that long. And so I sacrificed and woke up extra early that next morning to make sure that he had breakfast, had lunch, ready to go for work. I'm just old school. Call me old school, whatever. But that's just me taking care of my husband, because I believe take care of my husband, and that's just what works for our household. So whatever works for you works for you. But just making sure you make time and removing those distractions, because at the end of the day, yes, God gives a calling for all of us, but we can't neglect what's necessary. We can't neglect our first love, which is at home. God is first, but then everything else after that, our spouses, they come first. So my husband, whether you're working too late or whatever, you have to find the time to remove those distractions. And don't be on you shouldn't be on social media all the time. Sometimes Eric and I will find ourselves on the phones. We're like, listen, no phones at dinner. We've made a rule, especially when we go out to eat. We're not going to have phones at dinner. Why? Because if we're having dinner, what's the point of being on social media? Of course, sometimes we'll Snapchat and stuff, because Insta Snap and all, like, because people like to see love and like to see you out and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're not going to put social media and Twitter, and sometimes I have to get on him. I'm like, listen, you on your Twitter all night looking at the sports and your fantasy football. But, we just have to make sure we remove those distractions, that they don't take priority over what's important. The next one is refresh the romance. Again, sometimes you just need a refresher. If you don't remember the last time you received flowers, or that you sent your spouse something nice, or that, you took her shopping, or that, you all went dancing, or you went out to eat, or you went for a walk in the park, or had a little picnic. Like, if you can't really remember the last time you did that, it's probably time that you refresh that. It's probably time that you guys light some candles and, maybe create a spread at home. Set that atmosphere and that ambiance, because sometimes it's just about reconnecting and refreshing what used to be there, and the thing that brought you two together. Sometimes you just need a refresher. After that, the next thing, you need to rekindle the intimacy. So you have the romance, you set the mood, you got the aroma and the atmosphere. Rekindle that intimacy. Talk to each other, look into each other's eyes. I know it sounds like weird, but Eric and I have had some of the best moments and the best nights when we're lying in the bed and we're looking to each other's eyes. I know it sounds cheesy, but we're sitting there and we're talking about what we love about each other, and how much we adore each other, and like, what we look forward to in the future, our goals and our dreams, and making a vision board together. Those types of things are the things that bond us, because at the end of the day, the intimacy is what's going to keep that marriage and keep you tight knit, so that nothing can come through. So we're like, listen, we ride or die. So you have to rekindle that intimacy. Turn off the TV, turn off the laptops, turn off the social media, and like, just be present with each other and talk to each other, and rekindle that intimacy, so you guys can reconnect and bond with each other. The next one, revise your schedule and reignite the fun and the friendship. Listen, sometimes we just take ourselves too seriously. So you have to say, listen, hey, hubby or wifey, we're going rock climbing today. Or we're going to do something today or something this month that we've never done before. And you just have to rekindle that friendship, because at the end of the day, if you can't be friends with your spouse, like, I really feel bad, but friends have fun together. Just like a friend you haven't seen in a long time, when you call them up, it's like you never missed a day. That's how it should feel with your spouse. Like, sometimes you have to go back to that place and be like, you know what? Remember when we used to go to Dave and Buster's and play games? Like, let's take a night one night and let's go do that. Let's just have fun. Let's be big kids or something. Like, don't take yourself so seriously. Reignite that friendship and that fun, and do something to try to, reignite that in your relationship. And then the next one is reach up and out for help. So sometimes you got to reach up to God, and sometimes the Lord will put people on this earth to help you. So reach out. So if you know a couple and you trust them, reach out to them and talk to them. If you know a counselor or a therapist, whether it's at your church or somebody in your community, reach out to them and say, you know what, I need help. When people come to me and they're like, listen, my foot's out the door, I'm tired of this, and the relationship is suffering, I'm like, you know what, have you tried counseling? And they're like, well, no. If you tell me no, I'm like, well, you're not trying hard enough. I just don't believe it. And counseling can be through a book, it can be through a person, it could be through a relationship, it could be through a licensed counselor or a therapist. And I know some people say, well, my parents didn't go to counseling and they've been married for 50, 60 years. Well, truth be told, things have changed nowadays. There are things and temptations and issues that we have to deal with today that our parents and our grandparents didn't necessarily have to deal with. So sometimes, especially when you're coming from two different backgrounds, they say marriage is like the collision of two backgrounds. So when you're coming from two different paths and experiences, you might have some issues that you need to work out. I had daddy issues, so I had to work through some things in premarital counseling and even counseling after the fact. And so, my husband, sometimes he has anger issues and he had to deal with that. So we're not afraid to like read books. We're not afraid to invest in our marriage, because as much as we invest in those weddings and those expensive, wedding planners and stuff and coordinators and destination weddings, we should invest even that much more into our relationship and into our marriage, because it matters that much. So don't be afraid to reach up and reach out for help and say, listen, we need help. Like, we're going through some things. I need help. And then the last one, but definitely not least, reconcile and reset. So once you've got that help that you've needed, and once you've been able to, get the help that you need, and you've prayed about it, and the Lord has, delivered you from the situation, and you're on a good path, you're in a new season, reconcile, forgive and forget and reset. We can't hang on to the past. yes, we might joke about it every now and then, bring it up, but you know what? You got to leave the past where it is. If you dealt with a situation and you have decided that you want to move on from that and that you guys are going to move forward and not look back, you cannot throw that up in their face. You cannot throw the past up into your spouse's face all the time. If you're going to let it go, do that and let it go. You have to reconcile and reset. Hit the reset button. We can't start all over. We understand that. But you can agree that you're going to start over in your marriage and say, you know what, moving forward, the past is what it was, but we're moving forward to the future and we're going to keep looking forward. Because that's what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to hang on to that situation that happened last year, or that comment that he made that hurt your feelings, or when she disrespected you. The devil wants you to hang on to that and feel like, well, she don't respect me, or he doesn't love me like he says he does. The devil wants you to feel like that, but don't let, one little moment like that. And I'm not talking about like extra serious stuff. Even some of the serious stuff, some people like extra, like real bad things that for me, I might not be able to deal with. I don't know. Everyone's different, so you never know. But all I'm saying is you have to reset, move forward, and keep going. And don't allow that to keep you stagnant and keep you stuck in a bad place where you feel disconnected. The whole point is for you to reconnect and to reset and say, you know what? No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Nothing's going to tear up this marriage, because we are bonded for life and we made that covenant with God and we are not going anywhere. And we're going to defeat the devil because he doesn't want us to be together, but we're going to prove him wrong. So I hope this has been really helpful for you. If you have questions or concerns, or you just want to reach out and talk to me, feel free. You can reach out. I have a website and a blog where you can find more blogs, shondabrownwhite.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Shonda B. White. And on Facebook, Life and Love, Shonda Brown White. And I pray that each and every one of you all are blessed in your marriages and that you would just continue to fight for your marriage. Fight as hard as you know how. Fight like you've never had to fight before. Because sometimes, again, you're going to have those seasons and it's going to get difficult. But, I believe anything is possible no matter what the circumstances may be, no matter what the issues may be, anything is possible. So, love on each other, reconnect, reset, love, and reignite your marriage. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Love, peace, and happiness.